Hey everybody, I'm your host Robert Hebert. Welcome to NWIEducate.com. This is the next segment of Citizens View. We're going to continue the conversation. We have a broader audience, as you see. We have a panel here. Mr. Joseph Fries, thank you so much for being here.
How you doing?
I appreciate you.
It's Joshua Fries.
Joshua Fries, forgive me. And here we go again. We have Mr. Joseph Dunn, Mr. Joe. How you doing, sir? Thank you for being here. And a young lady, of course, we have Shaylin. I'm so great with names, as you can see. Shaylin Ford. Shaylin Ford. See what I mean? Did you see that? That's just skill. Thank you so much for being here on the show. Today we're going to be continuing our conversation about, is this the new norm? And when I say is this the new norm, we're talking about the relevance of society today versus when we were growing up. We were talking about subject matter in our last episode, and we want to continue that. And we want to say, is this what we're expecting to see? I mean, in today's society, how do we reintegrate the basics of education that's been cut out, like trade school education, music, intellectual aspects, like Shaylin was in, just so I looked at her for support, did I say it correctly? Give me the nod on the, she was interested in drawing and art. And is that applicable in today's society? And she was saying, no, it's not taught in school. It wasn't encouraged in school.
We didn't get the course.
You didn't get the course. So it wasn't even offered. But in my day, we had these trade schools. We had this information that was set up and prepared for. And there was an active intimacy, an active engagement of the community. Not just the teachers, but it's the community, at the family core. Even if the family was dysfunctional, there was still an expectancy of engagement in our education. Do you agree?
Absolutely. We grew up in a time whereby a lot of our parents weren't as educated as we were hoping to become. And at the time, it was like, well, mom can't help me, dad can't help me, and if I don't get a good grade, my teacher's going to yell at me. So we had a different attitude of survival. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I went through, and this happened, I think, my first year in high school, where me and my buddies, we had a little group of like 6 or 7 of us, and we were a support for each other. So what we used to do is you're good at science, you're good at history, I'm good at geography, you're good at math. And we would, when it came test time, we'd say whoever got the highest grade, we had to pay them $5. So if I lost every time in math and I had to pay you $5, I had to win geography, so I would make my $5.
What an that's an outstanding situation, because you're actually challenging friends, not outside professionals, but friends actually getting back and challenging each other to be better, to do better. What are your thoughts on that, Joe?
Well,
Joshua.
It's okay. I'm bad with names too. But it encourages a spirit of competition in a friendly way, because as you always, because you don't want to keep paying $5 to it's not like a participation trophy we have these days where all you gotta do is show up.
Isn't that the truth?
And then it's like, oh, you show up, great, awesome, you're great. No, it's not like that. You need to perform at the highest you can possibly be. And
there was an expectation.
Yes, and that's what we don't have that anymore. In fact, we have many kids these days that just simply, be you. But just because you're special doesn't mean you're useful, though.
Well, how do you be you without, like you saying, without structure?
Well,
how do you identify who you are without identifying if you're good, bad, indifferent, what your likes are, like you were saying before, you were exactly right. How do you be you without that definition, without that standardization?
You need that, because you need to learn. You need knowledge. You
Amen.
need to learn things.
Amen.
So,
Amen. What are your thoughts on Shaylin?
How can we be us? We're not even able to. That's not a thing that they let you be in school.
So now that's an interesting
Uniforms.
comment. What do you go a little further on that? What do you mean you can't be you?
Uniforms are just brought on.
Really?
Clothes is the biggest self-expression there is.
So you're saying that they're integrating uniforms, or?
Both middle schools and elementary schools have uniforms now. The elementary school that I went to as a child now wears uniforms.
Isn't
My
that
older
something?
sisters moved their kids to other schools.
Wow.
Well,
what are your thoughts?
I think uniform is actually a good thing, because what happened, a lot of kids get caught up into, what she's wearing, what he's wearing. Oh, he's got Jordan, I don't have. So the focus for learning changes. And I think that's something I do understand about being individualized. That's a good thing. But then take that into the classroom. you're good at geography. I'm not. Okay, fine. Beat the hell out of all of us with your geography class then. That's your individuality. That's your focus. So I think it's very good. Uniform is good because it uniforms everyone at a certain level. So it eliminates that level of competition, which is basically useless unless you're a fashion designer, which is not necessarily a bad thing in that regard. But then you could have a day out of the week where be yourself, uniform, wear whatever you like. Of course, as long as you have the standards and appropriateness, etc., and so on. Because you don't want to go off the chain and say, well, I want to be me. I'm going to wear really short shorts today because I'm me. That's how I like to dress. So I think this part of it is important, and I think in our society, because I've seen in for instance, Jamaica and most of the Caribbean islands, the students wear uniform to school. It looks good in photographs and stuff. You don't see one halter back and you have shorts and you have this mismatched thing here in a school environment. And I have a 15-year-old daughter, and she has her Instagram account and she got thousands of followers, and her friends, they all get thousands of followers. And she just take pictures and she just poses, and I'm like, there's no education value in that. It's all about the look and stuff like that. And you read all the comments there, erotic comments and all these different things. And I think that alone takes the focus away from learning today and the challenge of what they should be prepared for the future.
Absolutely. I think that to just add on to what you were saying, I think that there's a lot of self-worth there, because there are a lot of families that can't afford the higher end clothing, and when you have a standardization of uniforms, it puts everybody on an even level, at least from that social perspective. Yes. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, my thoughts on that though is that not only does that, like you said, I agree with you on that, but also our society is supposed to be structured. I mean, no society can ever possibly survive if everyone was. There has to be certain types of rules or expected social behaviors structured in order for society. There's nothing wrong with being you, but as long as being you though doesn't unbalance how society is supposed to be structured, so it be balanced, and
there has to be a means to it. I mean, as long as there's a reason for it, that makes sense for everybody. And
George B. Peterson touches on this subject big time stuff, and I'm a big fan of his work, and he's a psychologist, a Canadian psychologist, quite renowned too for that. So he's right about that. It has to be structured.
It has to be. But we've got to a situation where it's unfashionable to be structured. Do you agree?
I think
because I think you're absolutely right.
Well, yeah,
I think what happens here, when we talk about structure again too, you're a good say biologist student, and that's all you want to do is biology. That's you. That makes it you. Forget about the clothes you're wearing now. Let's focus on your talents. And this is where when we identify each student's talent, that's their individuality, not their clothes.
So we should have a growth process for them, like you were saying earlier, and then support that growth process by finding what each individual likes and is good at, and support that opportunity. Shannon, what are your thoughts on that?
I was good at art, and we didn't even get the subject offered. I went and I...
The audacity.
We had it picked. It was there as a subject you could pick, and then when I got to high school, they had just discontinued the class.
Finally knowing that, I'm going to call the school. I'm just absolutely, I'm absolutely just I'm unfounded. I'm beside myself on that.
Why do you think that?
As we mentioned something.
It's a great point.
We mentioned something about art and stuff like that. In Miami, in a district what they call Wynwood.
Yep.
Wynwood has a movement right now where it's all about graffiti artists, murals. Now, students who love art, and that's all they want to do. They're scribble scrabbling. You're teaching the science class, and they're scribble scrabbling and stuff. Let them do the murals for the school. You know how many big murals are made across this world every day?
All right.
And these artists make a lot of money now. Once upon a time, I remember we did a documentary in Miami years ago about cleaning up the city from murals and graffiti. And I was one of the photographers that videographers they sent around to capture them before they were painted over. And I saw some stuff, and there are all messages there, and there's several things going on there. The graffiti, for instance, they're artists. They're very skilled, very talented, but at the same time, they're not getting the recognition.
No, because it's perspective.
Right, and they're not getting a voice, and that in our society is very wrong. Because you're being molested, for instance, and you draw a cartoon of some kind of kid, and you say, "Oh, that's a weird thing." But then, if you interview that person, then you hear what's going on. Pablo Picasso.
Amen.
Look at what's it one name? Dali.
You're talking about expression.
Exactly.
And when society has a perception of from education from art to biology, chemistry, as you were stating, and we have this perspective of there's no self-worth there. There's no worth to a graffiti because the people who were judging that and stating that gave no credit to it, gave no time or gave no energy towards the perspective of understanding of how important art is to Shaylin or how important biology is to Josh. Just joking. But the point being is that we jump to these labels without giving true perspective of how important and how, I mean, some of this graphic art is amazingly detailed.
Absolutely.
And if we gave that perspective, the proper attention, then we would be achieving some pretty amazing results with the people. We'd take that graffiti, instead of calling that person a hoodlum, you're now an artist.
Exactly.
And then that person would put the energy, instead of being deemed as something that's an outcast from society, Shaylin is now a functioning member of society with a great respect for her individual God-given talents. And the same thing with Joshua.
Absolutely.
Same thing with me.
In Wynwood was a inner city community with back in the 80s, for instance. It was like a haven for drug addicts and stuff like that. And the city of Miami decided that they needed to change the perspective of that community because downtown Miami.
Yeah.
And so they started this whole and becomes a fashion district now.
Isn't it
You go
amazing?
inside there and there are recording studios, there's film studios, there's all kind of production going on in that community. You have photographers taking fashion, high-end fashion photography there just because of the graffitis now and the different and just the look. So and that South Beach, Miami was like that back in the early 1980s.
But the best part of what you just said is when the perspectives and the minds became open, look what happened.
Absolutely.
When the mind's open and we are now open and ready to receive the information we're getting, to see the gifts that each of us have, and being able to promote and enhance those gifts, what an amazing thing happens, just like what Joe
Absolutely.
said. So I mean, it's amazing that we become in a society where the people that lead us are the people that give you the least open-mindedness to what you're trying to see. Because if we taught everybody based on skills, holy macaroni, what things could we achieve if we did an assessment and things that you truly enjoy doing, Joshua? Things that you truly did, we enhanced, we supported, we grew. Like a seed, we matured it, we gave it plenty of water, we saw it grow from a seed. But we're in a society where it prejudges. Oh, you're a young person. Because my first instinct, and I got to be honest with you, my first instinct when you guys were talking is when you said the 80s, I was going to look at the kids, I was going to look at these guys and say the 80s. That was the decade before you were born. The 80s, that was before. No, I'm just
A
kidding.
decade and a half.
Decade and a half, you know what I mean?
There you go. Good time.
Yeah, the best of the 80s.
We also have some students that I was exposed to. I mean, who wouldn't do well in school, but I tell you one little guy that I was exposed to, a 9-year-old. He knew how to hack. He would shut down his school website and he would just laugh about it. He would just do it for ha-has. And he would never pass any of his class.
He would
And
fix his grades?
Well, he would do. He got into trouble for once before. He got into trouble several times. I tell him, he lived with me for a while. I'd say, listen, my IP address is showing up. Okay, stop it. But then no one ever stopped and said, okay, fine. This kid got some special. I recognized it, and I spoke to his parents. I said, listen, this kid needs to be focused in this area. He's good at it. He's a natural at it. He'll do this 24/7 a day because he just enjoy it. And that's what our society is not doing. Not finding these kids who are, for instance, hey, why are you making bombs and putting them in the parking lot and blowing them up? You're a bad kid. No, wait a minute. You got a little scientist going on there.
That's right.
Take that little guy, take him into the lab, get him some mentors in the real lab, and say, hey, listen, let's see what you can get. Why don't you work on this with us, to do this research here,
Amen.
and
It's all
see that
about-
kid excel.
It's all about perspective and naturalization.
Absolutely.
So we can go on with this forever because I'm so into this great panel. We got to have this more often, everybody. I want to invite all of you back to the show.
Sure.
So I want to thank each and every person. Joshua, thank you so very much for being
Well, thank you for having me.
I appreciate you being here. Joe, thank you so very
You're
much,
welcome.
buddy.
My
It's-
pleasure.
Sweetheart, thank you so much, Shaylin, for being here. Shaylin, right?
Yes.
Yeah, getting it right. The more I say it, the better I get. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Robert Hebert. This is NWIEducate.com. Please email us your comments, your advice, anything that you want. Give us your opinion, admin@NWIEducate.com. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for joining.